Good morning, good morning, good morning. I hope you are all doing well. Hope you're all doing well. Um, Listen to me. I love that's one of my favorite. That's one of my favorite live stream songs by a guy out of Norway. I found that song probably about three, maybe almost 4 years ago, and it's a pretty popular song when it comes to videos and things like that on YouTube. Good Monday morning. I hope you are doing well. Welcome to Win Your Week. Retail Leadership with Steve Worthy. Of course, I am Steve Worthy. In the place to be. We are going to have an amazing Monday morning today. I can't wait to talk about our topic. But I want to know what you did this weekend. What were you up to? Put it in the comments. Let me know what was something fun that you did. Did you work? I know we're in the throes of Q4, so I know there's a lot of probably some long weekends that you're actually probably going through right now. Just put something in the comments. Let me know how your weekend was. My weekend, it was a really productive weekend. Really productive weekend. Got a lot of things done. Um, and I got to watch. Okay, this is I know those people. Manchester United fans. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. As those of you who know me, you know that I am a massive. I call it football. Of course, we here in the States call it soccer, but I call it football. I am a massive football fan. And a big game of the week, over the weekend, was Manchester United versus Man City. Man City's my team. And we ended up coming out on top. So I actually had a good weekend. Uh, I had a good weekend. We actually crushed them. Anyway, I'm sorry. A little brag. Let me stop because we have a long season to go. All right. It is Monday morning. Let me know what you did this weekend. Okay, Sylvia says she's worked, exercised, Netflix. What did you watch on Netflix? What's new on Netflix? I'm not sure if there's anything um, you know, like new right now on Netflix. But anyway, and I appreciate that. Thanks, Sylvia. Anyone else? Let me know what you did this weekend as well too. Of course, as always, this Win Your Week is sponsored by Bellwether. The right knowledge is everything in retail software that helps retail professionals find missed opportunities. There is no time like the present, especially during Q4, is that when you think about the sales and maximizing sales, the goal is to try to find those missed opportunities. And a lot of them have to deal with scheduling. A lot of them have to deal with having data that can actually point your team and your leadership team in the right direction of where you need to focus and put your time. And Bellwether actually does that. The information that they provide gives you the ability to make decisions in real time, right? One of the things that will separate you from your competition are going to be your decisions, not the decisions that you make 2 to 3 weeks, from the data. It's actually when you make it either 24, 48 hours based on the information. So make sure you connect with Bellwether. You'll see the QR code, and that will take you right to their website where you can actually go ahead and schedule a time for a demo and connect with Phil Elliott. You also can look at the interview that I did with Phil on our YouTube channel. Amazing founder of a company, so smart, loves data, and he has a heart for retail leaders and retail brands. So make sure you go ahead and check him out as well too. All right. Where are we at? Let me see. Okay. So happy Monday. Let me make sure. I think a couple of people. So Christine says good morning. You had a great working weekend, getting to know your amazing team better, awesome, and serving the customers together. Okay, great. And watching Ted Lasso. What episode did you watch last night of Ted Lasso? And what season are you on? Because I am absolutely obsessed. Okay, and Sylvia says she's watching Homeland. Okay, all right. Rewatching. That's great. That's a good show. That's a good show. Um, so our inspiration for today. Let's do this. Let's do this one. Um, I've had this one in my, I guess, in my information, my data. What do you want to call it? A repository, if you will, of information for a long time. And it came to me this weekend. There was another one that I was inspired by this morning, but I kind of had to restrict myself from changing course. So I wanted to stick with this one because we'll talk about something here right after this one in a second. This is going to be why this one is so important. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. It's an African proverb. And I think about this in the context of where you are as a leader, where you currently stand. What's your level of growth? What's your level of perspective of where it is that you want to see yourself go? Right? These inspirations, we're going to be talking about more team stuff here in a second, but I really want you to take these inspirational moments that we talk about and personalize them because I do. Whenever I think about something I put up here, I I have maybe one or two people maybe on my team, and it's not like a team like that. These are people that I outsource stuff to, so it's not like a team like I'm used to. Good morning, Cher Jones. How are you? But when you think about these things, you have to internalize this stuff and think about yourself and where you are as a leader. When you want to go fast, you can go alone, right? I've done it. I've done it as a leader. I have focused in on Steve's goals and what I wanted to do, what I wanted to get accomplished. Now, in and of itself, there's nothing wrong with that, right? In the context that we know we have to get stuff done and we know where we want to go. Some of us do. We know where we want to go. But if we want to go further, if we want to go um, to the maximum aspects of who we are, we actually have to go with other people. We have to do it together. And we have to find ways in order for you to understand a little bit more about yourself so that you can continue to move forward. You can't go this world alone in leadership, right? there's the old saying, right? There's no I in team, right? There isn't. The goal around you as an individual leader, you still have to have people around you that can actually feed into you that can actually provide information so that you can make better decisions about who you are and where it is that you want to be. So if you want to go fast, you can go alone. But if you want to go far, you got to go together. So think about who do you have on your team. Think about what your growth plan is. Do you have a growth plan? Do you have a leadership development plan? Right? If you don't, connect with me. But I got another opportunity and situation for you that I want to make sure we take advantage of. So most of you know that I had started a community. I didn't really launch it because I felt the worst time to launch a learning community for senior retail leaders is through fourth quarter. It's the worst time. It's the worst time. You guys got so much stuff going on. It is the worst time. Worst time. So we're launching the campus on January 10th. 2024. So we are on a road to 100. And the road to 100 is that we want to secure our first 100 and invite our first 100 founding members to the campus, and that is going to start on November 1st, and that's going to start our road to 100. Right. And here's the thing. And I want to get this up front right now. Is that this is a paid community, and Steve's like, well, why is this a paid community? Here's the thing: people pay attention to what they pay for. They just really do. They just really do. And it is so apropos to what we are going to be talking about today around holiday spending, right? People pay attention to what they pay for. The founding member rate that we're going to be providing is probably 60% less than what you will actually have to outlay on a monthly basis or on an annual basis. And so more information about that, if you want to learn more, please go ahead and DM me, whether it's on LinkedIn or connect with me over on our website as well too. So I would love to provide some more information for you. We're going to be doing some lives talking about the campus, going through a lot of the information that's already in there. We've already piled a whole bunch of content in there. You know, all of our Win Your Weeks, are going to be there, so you can go back. You actually have a library of information. We're going to be having our Thursdays lives. That's actually on our newsletter, but we're also going to be putting those in our community. Guys, courses, small courses. Cher has really got on me about doing a couple of these small, quick courses that I know that have been impactful for you. So a lot of information, a lot of content that's going to be there in the campus. And I could talk a little bit more about the name of why we call it the campus down the road too, because I think it's going to be important for you to understand why I've titled it the campus as well. So I'm looking forward to that. Road to 100 is going to be starting on November 1st, and then we launch it on January 10th, 2024. Looking forward to seeing you on the campus, inside the campus as well too. All right. So the topic today, we are talking about holiday spending. Let me make sure my phone. Okay, holiday spending. As always, I want to make sure I set a foundation for everything that I talk about real quick. And I think I have a couple of people here over on Facebook, and yeah, I like that, Corey. 100%. Good morning, and good morning, Matt, as well too. Good to see you there. How are you? Good to see you, my friend. So here is a book. I always want to set a foundation. I read this book. Oh gosh, probably. Oh man, I want to say I'm super dating myself. It had to be 1998. I think this book came out, and he's since revised it. But the tenets of this book, Why We Buy by Paco Underhill. If you are in retail leadership, as a senior retail leader, and you haven't read this book, you need to read this book. It will give you so much more and so much information about why people buy. Here's the one thing that I love about older books, if you will, books that from like even like the early 90s to like the early 2000s. And the reason I say that is because a lot of the books that we see today are based off of premises based off of those foundational books. Period. Because a lot of things haven't changed. Psyche hasn't changed around buying patterns from a customer standpoint. If anything, it's actually the point from um, idea to actually buying has shortened because of social media, right? Social media has sped up the buying process, but the core tenets, and we'll talk about a couple of those here in a second. The core tenets have not changed. So make sure you go and pick up this book by Paco Underhill, Why We Buy. It is just an amazing book, and it's going to really help you and give you some foundational understanding too. But one more foundational thing before we get into the know one thing, is that when people buy things, there's a connection. A lot of times it's an emotional versus logic. There's an emotional buying piece that they want to that takes place when they see a product or they hear about something, right? From a marketing standpoint, from a presentation standpoint, the ability for a company to tell a story around that product, right? Entices people, sense of urgency. And I wrote down here scarcity. How many of you remember? Not so much now with Apple products, right? With Apple products, you can there isn't a lot of hoopla on Apple products anymore, but there used to be, right? How many of you remember that scarcity mentality? Even with PS1s, right? Xbox is way like probably, I want to say maybe 10, 15, maybe 10, 12 years ago. There was a scarcity piece that I had to get it. So it was a sense of urgency that you actually had to buy, right? Now it's an ease of experience. It's an ease of experience. And there also this, and I should have wrote this down, but there's also, um, I guess it's associated with ease of experience. There's also this mindset of like Instagrammable moments, right? Think about it. Think about you know, when people are coming into, customers are coming into your store. They want the ease of experience, but they also want the memory possibly associated with buying something, especially if it's an emotional like purchase, something that they really wanted to do, really wanted to purchase their entire life, or something that they wanted to buy for their kid. But here's the thing: a lot of people are creating those Instagrammable moments as it relates to their shopping experience. The one piece that we think about in retail, I'm going to I'll end this foundational thoughts with this one, is that you have the luxury brands versus just uh, if you will, kind of like the big box stores, right? And we often think that there is a difference in buying perspective, as it relates to luxury versus kind of the big box stores. It's luxury. It's a status mentality, right? And people are buying and people are purchasing off of status, and so we have to understand that as well too. So make sure you kind of have a rudimentary understanding of why customers buy. And I know we walk into our stores, we think we get why people are buying a certain thing because we put it on the shelf and we put a price on it and we think that's it. There's so many other variables associated with why people actually purchase something that we have to take into consideration. So, um, I'm going to move into the know one thing, and here's what I think I'm going to do for the rest of the year with this know, ask, and do one thing. I am going to talk about it in two constructs, from a store manager's perspective and also a multi-unit leader's perspective, because I don't want to do. Ooh, oh my gosh, what's up with the balloons? Oh, this is crazy. I don't even know what happened there. I didn't know. I don't know what I did. Did you guys see the balloons? Let me see if I can do that again. That's weird. I have no clue what happened where. I think it's this new software that with my Mac Studio, that iOS update or something like that. I don't know what happened, but I got balloons. There we go. Um, there they are. I'm looking at them on the screen. So I wanted to do this in two. I didn't want to do this in two sections or in 2 weeks. I'm going to put these together: store manager and multi-unit leader. The know, ask, and do one thing, because I think it's important, because I think both need to know what the other one is doing. All right. So know one thing as it relates to spending from a store manager standpoint. Know that consumers are showing a preference of an experience over goods, which may impact holiday spending. So it goes back to exactly what I just spoke about. around experience, the ease of experience. Look at your store. When you walk in your store, pause for a second and just look and think about what is your store saying to a customer that's actually coming into that store. What's the experience that they're actually having, right? Are your is your team over at the register on their phone, right? Are they working diligently? Are they connecting with customers that are actually already in the building, right? All these things influence the spending process. The experience that I receive when I walk into a store is extremely important. Extremely important. I am of a certain vintage that I remember Blockbusters, right? You know, how many of us, you can, raise your hand if you remember Blockbusters, um, and all of that. Here's the thing: is that, you would walk in Blockbusters and someone would be stocking the shelf, and they would just be like, "Hey, hi, how are you doing?" And it's like, so that no connection whatsoever. No connection whatsoever. That still happens today. That still happens today. So you have to think about your store from an experience standpoint. Is your store providing a solid experience? Because if not, it is going to impact the spending. People will make a decision um, often when they walk into the store. If you have what they need, guess what? That's great. If you don't have what they need, right? I'm gonna go to the next. I'm gonna go to the next place, right? I'm gonna share a quick story here with no one thing after here in a second. Multi-unit leaders know that while some consumers face financial challenges, others in higher income brackets are still spending. They are. They are. And I know we talk about inflation, and I know we there is these mindset and perspective around um, people aren't spending, and that and the data shows that people are spending, but not at the same clip that they were last year. That could be a whole nother set of a circumstance, and that's a whole nother win your week. That I think I even spoke about some of that. A couple of win your weeks ago, probably about 2 or 3 months ago, um, when I broke down why people are like not spending. Um, but you have to understand, where's your store? Where's your market? What company do you work for? Right? Where do they sit in the mind of the customer? Is it something that is it a must have? Is it a luxury purchase? Is it an impulse buy? Is it the fact that, like, there's just so many of your stores that are actually that have flooded the market, they don't have a choice, right? So you have to think about multi-unit leaders, and then you also have to think about your band of stores, right? Because even within that band of stores, you actually have different buying patterns, right? You have different customer segmentations. City stores buy completely different from rural stores. I know we get that fundamentally, but what are you doing differently as it relates to leadership, as it relates to your ability to connect with those stores, right? Ideally, when you think about all these things around spending, they need to, your philosophy as a multi-unit leader, even as a store manager, it needs to start at the very beginning of the year, right? Because we know every year, every beginning of the year, there's a playbook for every season. There is a playbook that takes place. Q4, Valentine's, summer, right, Labor Day. There's always a playbook. But as a leader, the tendency is that you don't necessarily have your own playbook around what this looks like. One of the things I plan on doing, and I've been meaning to do this for a while, and my timing just wasn't right, is that I'm gonna do it's gonna either be a podcast, it's gonna be an article. I don't know if it's gonna be a training or not, but we're gonna be breaking down. I'm gonna be breaking down every quarter of like your year, like what do you need to be focused on Q1, what do you need to be focused on Q2, Q3, and Q4, because it's important that you actually have actually having a playbook, a perspective of what that looks like. I had the pleasure of actually providing some training for for Wayfair. Was it? Oh my gosh, last week, and it's part of our. It's the first part of our leadership playbook, and it's around approachability. It provided the leaders with a foundational understanding of what they need to know as a leader, and then we're going to be building upon those things with retainability, managing criticism, and things along that line. But the biggest part is that they walk away with a playbook that they have for their leadership journey, and then the last part is that they meet with me individually, and then from there, the goal is that we, I focus in and helping them understand how to execute on their overall playbook. So as a leader, you need to make sure that you actually have a playbook. All right. So let's go into ask one thing. Let's go into the ask one thing. Store managers, can you compete on experience and personalized service? What's the quality of your store team? That's probably should have been a real question. What's the quality of your store team, and are they ready to adapt to the changing customer priorities? It's a very simple question, but the answer can be complex. It's a very simple question. I'm just gonna go to the second part of it. Like, what's the quality of your team, and are they ready to adapt to the changing consumer priorities? Your team is everything this time of year. It is throughout the course of the year, right? I understand that, but this time of the year, your team they really need you. That you need to make sure that you actually have a really solid team, right? This the quality of your team impacts the results of your store, and we get that. I know we understand that, but ask that question: do you have the right team in the right places? Is it the onboarding process of your team? What does that look like? Right. One of the things that I used to do is that I would go into the competition like heavily this time of year, heavily. I was probably in the competition more sometimes than I was my own stores, just because I wanted to see the level of service that they provided, and I also wanted to see level of service that they provided compared to the level of service my stores provided. I also want to see what they were really doing well, right? A lot of times we'll go into competition and we're looking at all the negative things. Oh my gosh, they got pallets on the floor. They have this and they have all this other stuff. It's not really about that. It's about what are they really doing well. So what's something that we can leverage? And more often than not, what I did see in some cases was that the quality of their team and their the training and customer service and things along that line, beat some of my stores. So guess what? I would have the store managers, the district managers go into some of those stores, and I wanted them to experience some of the same things that I was experiencing. And then if they were experiencing that, then okay, take some of those learnings back to your stores, right? So what's the quality of your team? And are they ready to adapt to the changing consumer priorities? Because if they're not able to adapt, they're not able to see that things are going to be changing this year for the consumer. Guess what? You've already lost them. You've already lost that sell. You've already lost that sell. From a multi-unit leader standpoint, ask one thing: do your stores have a strategy in place to target the frugal shoppers and the high-income shoppers who may spend more? Can they segment their approach effectively? And I know that's this right here is a lot of corporate speak. When I was writing this, I was like, this sounds like this is a corporate speak piece, and I get it. But it doesn't mean that it's not true, right? Do your stores have a strategy in place, for the frugal, right? And the frugal, the frugal shopper, that person is just conscious. They're conscious of what they're purchasing, right? Doesn't mean that they're not buying anything. I think the misnomer around frugal is that they're not buying anything. They're buying the right thing that they need at that time, right? And guess what? If they really like that experience, they're gonna tell their other frugal friends who actually have a similar mentality, and they're gonna come to your store. So, but we got to treat them the same way as if they're spending a whole bunch of money, right? We can't. we can't treat people differently just because we think the fact that they're frugal, that they don't matter in our stores, right? How many of you have those customers? As soon as they come to the store, they go right to the clearance racks. They go right to the clearance racks. There's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong. I used to love those customers, right? Because I knew that they would wipe out all my clearance. And if my store managers and district managers were savvy enough, they would speak to those customers and have try to get a better understanding of what they were looking for, sizes, um, assortment, all these different things. So we got to make sure that we're treating the frugal shopper the same way as we do the high spender. Here's the thing with the high spenders. High spenders are going to just spend. They're going to spend. They they but there is also I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? If I'm going to pronounce it, there is also a frugality, if you will, to high spending in the context that they may be spending more on higher ticket items, but there is also an emotional attachment to whatever it is that they're purchasing, right? There is a rhyme and a reason to whatever it is that they're purchasing. It's not just a matter of that they're buying, right? They're buying because there's an emotional attachment. There's a status connected to whatever it is that they're purchasing. So we have to understand that to help your stores help your stores kind of create this. This goes back to everything I just talked about, like at the beginning of the year, helping them understand their why around spending and around why their customers purchase and buy within their store to begin with as well. All right. So let's move into this last one, which is do one thing. And I'm actually making pretty good time. So do one thing. Do one thing. Is this making sense? Before I move forward, is this making sense? Is this resonating with you? Is this helping you get a better understanding? Of, I could easily, I could easily talk about end caps. I could easily talk about, um, you know, uh, assortment and all of those things, right? You got merchants for that, right? My focus when I talk about spending during the holidays is the psychological perspective, because honestly, that's the most important part. And I get it. We have to have the right products at the right place, right at the right time. I 100% get that. But if we can have a better understanding of why people buy and how our stores help facilitate that purchasing process, right? It's not so much just about the assortment. It's how do we help tell a story to this customer and move them through the journey so that they can actually see that our store is the solution for whatever problem that they have, right? It's I always talk about retail. It's the human condition. It's the human connection. It is about helping a person, one, understand that they may have a problem, and then our store, our assortment, our brand, everything actually makes sense for them to purchase it, right? We get we focus in retail, and I talked about this in the approachability um, um, framework and in the training, is that in retail we focus so much on the how and the what. We have the how and the what down pat, which is kind of like the playbook pieces, but we don't focus in and we don't help people understand the why. So everything that I've talked about today is to help you understand the why. And then once you understand the why, now you can make an informed decision with your team, with your people, who you hire, where you place product, why your customers are purchasing something, and then execute on that. Because if you don't have a good understanding of the why, guess what? All the execution in the world doesn't matter, right? That's just my own perspective. Okay. So the last one I want to do implement training sessions or workshops to equip your staff. I know, like, Steve, really? Now, this time of year? Yes. Yes, yes, yes. If they need to be quick, they need to be quick, right? But there needs to be some training on product. There needs to be some training on customer buying patterns. There also needs to be training on data. Data. We just did a 3 week thing on data, financial statements and things like that, and retention. the, the data is to help you strategize with the team, which is the second part of this, to schedule strategically each area of your store. So if you are able to have a conversation with your team on a daily basis or weekly basis around what areas of the stores are crushing it and what areas of the stores are not, right? And here's my philosophy on this one. This is going to help not just the store managers out. This is going to help the multi-unit leaders out too. The worst sales department of your store needs to be the best looking. And I know you're like, really? Yes. The worst department from a sales standpoint needs to be your best looking. Because the goal is that hopefully over time it will cease to be your worst sales department. But it also shows the consumer that you care about your store. So we have to change that philosophy. Is that we know we're going to take care of the high velocity parts of our store, right? If you don't know that, then you should know that you're going to be taking care of the high velocity areas of your store. But the worst parts of your store, right? HBA, we are Target and Sam's. HBA, right? Had to be sales wise. It was probably top, maybe, I don't know, maybe 12 or something like that, right? But man, that area of the store, gosh, would get wrecked because there's so many different SKUs associated with it. So my focus with all my stores was like, that area needs to be the best looking, right? So that was like one of my pet peeves. So every time I came to the store, I would write to HBA. Even though sales, apparel was probably doing great, electronics was probably doing great, commodities, I go right to HBA because the quality of the HBA let me know what I was going to see kind of throughout the rest of the store. This is my own perspective. This is my own little technique that I used to help the stores understand the importance of the lesser, if you will, the lesser departments of your store. Okay. So for multi-unit leaders, they'll do one thing: encourage collaboration between your stores and share successful strategies for engaging different customer segments. Here's the thing. On your meetings, your Monday morning meetings, I know some of you are going to probably have some of them today. What information are you exchanging on those meetings? Right? How thoughtful are those meetings? How thoughtful are those meetings? Who's bringing what to the table? Is there a structure to your meetings? Okay, we're gonna go through sales. We're gonna probably, we may do some recognition, and we're gonna talk. And then I'm gonna go as a multi-unit, as a senior vice president or whatever. I'm gonna go down the line of everything that I just learned at my own strategy meeting, and then that's what we're gonna talk about. That's those are great. Those are great. That's a great start. But how strategic is the communication that you're going to have with your store teams around all of that information, and what does that mean for them? What I have seen more often than not is that we are just regurgitating everything that we heard from a corporate standpoint, right? Because it's a checklist. It's also a CYA piece. I'm sorry, that already did just stepped on somebody's toes. That just stepped on somebody's toes right there. I know it did. That is a CYA thing because I told you about it. Were you not in the meeting? Did you not hear me say that we need to execute on this? I told you, right? It becomes a CYA meeting, and there isn't any real value exchanged. There isn't any real value exchange. You have to think about your meetings, whether it's talking about the information from a corporate standpoint, but relating it to relating it to um, your team in such a real way that it's actionable and that they actually want to um, implement whatever it is that you're talking about. Because if you just regurgitate from on high, there's no relatability there, right? There isn't. I, I can't relate. I am really just trying to staff my store. I'm really trying to staff my store, but you want me to do X, Y, and Z. And I get it. You have to be able to articulate and crystallize, the message from, from HQ, and then in those meetings to make sure that they're actionable as well too. The last piece for this goes for both for store managers and for multi-unit leaders, and we'll close with this: is you take a partner, you got to be a partner. Take a partner, and you got to be a partner. This is the yeah, busiest time of year for you, and the worst thing you want to do is to be on an island by yourself. The worst thing you want to do is to be on an island by yourself, and hopefully, multi-unit leaders, you have created a structure that your team doesn't feel like they're on an island by themselves. That's the worst thing that you could feel, right? The worst thing that you can feel. But the other thing that they want to know is that you're going to be a partner to them to help them with some solutions. Store managers, the best thing that you can do is to be vulnerable enough to say that you don't know or that you have a problem. And I know that that could be difficult depending on the leadership that is above you and their ability to take feedback and things along that line. But you got to find a way. You have to find a way in order to get problems um, brought surfaced, and then hopefully solutions that will actually help you. Plan strategically. Timing is critical. We don't have any. You don't have any time in Q4 right now. A lot of things need to get done. A lot of things need to get done. But the the success in Q4 happens in Q1. It happens in Q1. We will be talking more about that too. We got a podcast episode from Q1 to Q4 and just some strategies and transitions that you need to think about as it relates to that. So I hope this has been helpful to you, as well too. So last piece is, of course, you can connect with us over at our newsletter, worthyretailnews.com. It is growing. Great content. Wednesday's article is going to be around the silent hiring market in retail. I actually just did a Thursday live stream on it, and so we're going to be talking about that silent hiring market in the article, what you need to do as external and as an internal candidate so that you can be successful as well too. All right, I hope that you have a great week. I hope this was this information provided some really good kind of like tactical thought process perspectives on holiday spending and what you can do differently for your team, and what you need to do differently for yourself as a retail leader so that you can be successful. So thanks so much for being here. Let me make sure I got the right thing here going on. There we go. Just want to make sure I had the right button before I before I close out for the day. So once again, thank you all for being here. Connect with me, and remember, we will be talking more about this road to 100. We're looking for our first 100 founding members for the campus that we're going to be launching on January 10th. Super excited about that. Many people have asked, to how can they work with me? How can they get coaching and mentorship and things along that line? This is going to be one of the best ways to actually do it, other than actually working with me one-on-one. I love working with one-on-one people, teens, and training. But the campus is also going to be an opportunity for you to kind of like supplement some of that stuff and get some more content and information as well. So love to see you there. There we go. Just want to make sure I'm good to go. All right. Have a great Monday morning and great rest of your week. And we'll talk to you soon. God bless.